Hi, yogis. I'm Sarah, and welcome to Winding Road Yoga. Today's class is all about our hamstrings. So our hamstrings are three large muscles that go down the backs of our thighs. They connect our legs to our pelvis. So a lot of times when we have tight hamstrings, we also experience pain in the low back and pain in the glutes. So the tightness in the hamstrings is a really common thing. And especially if you don't normally give your hamstrings a little bit of love, you may find that they are stiffer and tighter than you realize. Now, as always, if you have any health concerns, any orthopedic problems, any medical issues, or problems with breathing, anything that concerns you, make sure you check in with your doctor or medical practitioner before you get started. So before we get started, let's just sit for a moment in what we call thunderbolt pose, if this is comfortable for you. Sitting on your heels. If you need padding under your feet or under your thighs, feel free to take that. And if this is just not a comfortable pose, any seated pose will do. But let's just start by feeling our alignment from our head all the way down our spine, shoulders and hips in line, hands on your thighs, and just taking a moment to set your intention for your practice. So your intention is going to be anything that you feel that you need today, whether it's just giving yourself a little bit of space, giving yourself forgiveness, giving yourself some love. Just allow this time for you to set the intention and keep that in your heart as you go through this practice. So we'll take a moment here and just sitting, settling in, letting go of your day. Just letting those shoulders relax, bringing them away from the ears, but feeling the alignment through your spine. And just taking a few deep breaths, allowing yourself to leave the rest of your day behind you and move into this practice. Now, when you're ready, we'll come onto our backs and we're just gonna do a little bit of wiggling just to find our hamstrings, just remind ourselves where they are. So we'll lie on our backs with our feet up in the air and maybe just giving your ankles a few twists and turns if that's comfortable. If this is not a comfortable position, you can always put your feet on the ground. You can still feel your hamstrings here, but just letting the hamstrings kind of loosen up. If you want to, you can put your hands behind your thighs, maybe give a little tug. As always, if you have any medical concerns, medical conditions, health issues or concerns, then check in with your doctor or medical practitioner. But otherwise, just feeling this nice stretch. If you have sciatica, this may be a bit much, or it may be exactly what you need, but make sure that you have an understanding of what's going on if you are dealing with physical issues. So let's just give our legs a few more moments just to settle into this practice and just remind our legs, okay, hamstrings, you're going to get a little extra attention today. Maybe even grabbing your calves and just giving a gentle stretch up the back of your leg. Nothing severe, nothing hard, just that nice opening just to remind your body this is where we're going today. And then let's cross our feet. Maybe just put your heels back on the ground or crossing your ankles and rolling yourself up. And let's come back to that thunderbolt pose, Vajrasana, that we started in, with our hands on our knees. And then let's take a little twist here to loosen up the spine. So right hand on your left knee, left arm behind you, and then lift and lengthen through your spine and gently twist, keeping your chin in line with your sternum. So you don't need to look all the way over your shoulder, but just feeling that little stretch, little opening, little lengthening. Taking a few breaths and just allowing that release. And then let's come over to the other side. Again, left hand on the right knee, lengthening through your spine. And then gentle twist. Just noticing what you're feeling here, noticing any sensation. Of course, if there's any pain, back off. But if you're feeling just a nice little tension, that will often just slowly release as you do your practice. All right, now we'll come into cat-cow, one of my favorites. So your shoulders and wrists are in line. Your index fingers pointing forward, feeling your knuckles on the ground. And let's take our cat pose, lifting up through your belly, arching your spine, feeling that lengthening across your back. So feeling these shoulder blades coming apart, protraction. And then our cow pose, letting the belly drop down, keeping the neck fairly neutral, but it will naturally go up as the spine arches. Continue looking forward and then down, just following the movement of your spine, doing your cat-cow. And let's just do that a few more times. Now you can continue to do that, or if you'd like a little bit of a challenge, let's do our balancing tabletop pose. So right arm extending, left foot either back on the mat, or you could extend it and just lengthen forward and back. So in yoga, you want to be energetic through all the working parts. So you don't want to just have the energy coming out the right arm without the left leg also engaging. That's what's going to give you the balance and will help your entire body become engaged. So you're going to feel this a bit through the core. And then bring the elbow to the knee, or you can just bring the hand and knee down and then straighten out again through the right arm, left leg. Try to keep the hips in line. That can be tough, but just try to maybe put your hand on the back of your pelvis and just try to keep everything in line. And then in, and we'll do that one more time. Stretching and lengthening and drawing in. Okay, and then we have another side. So again, either setting that right foot back and just giving that a nice little rock back and forth, stretching out through the left arm. And if you'd like, go ahead and lift up through the right leg. Hold it for a moment. Try to find that alignment. And knee to nose. And we'll do that 3 times. 2. And stretch energetically through your fingers and through your toes. And 3. And down. Okay. And now we'll just get a little bit of rotation through our hips. So I'm going to face you here. And just open up through the hip and then just give it a little rotation. So you just feel that hip socket kind of loosening and opening. So let's do that for a few more breaths. And just feel that loosening and opening. And that should feel nice. And again, if anything is too much, modify, you can always just stay in your tabletop pose. You can always just take a child's pose anytime as well. Child's pose is always there for you. And then we'll take the other side. So lift out through your left knee, kind of doggy fire hydrant pose, and then just make a few nice circles. You can even go one way and then the other. Just anything you need to get some of that stiffness out of that hip joint. All right, from here, we're going to step back into our first down dog. So curling the toes under and lifting up through the hips. As always, you don't need to straighten out the legs. If you straighten out the legs, if that's right for you, that's perfect. But if your knees need to be bent, there's nothing wrong with that. What you really want to feel is the lengthening through the spine. So this pose is about the spine lengthening and the sitting bones lifting. And then if your heels drop down, that's great. You're going to get a good stretch down the back of your legs, but you don't need the heels down to get that stretch. It's all about where you are. Try to feel your biceps by the ears, and maybe just pedaling out if you would like to just get some more of those little wiggles out. Maybe just holding one leg, holding the other, just allowing yourself to feel the deep nourishment of this pose. And just taking a few more breaths here. Very good. And then let's just walk slowly forward to the front of our mat. This is a great stretch along the hamstrings. If you need to bend your knees, but just feeling that stretch, feeling the sitting bones lifted, and just trying to get your torso to your thighs. So torso to the thighs, and maybe grabbing your opposite elbows, taking a ragdoll pose. So I'll face you here. Ragdoll pose where you're just allowing yourself to just loosen, moving at your own pace with your own breath. From ragdoll, put your hands down, and then just vertebra by vertebra by vertebra, rolling up to a standing position. From here, we're taking our Tadasana pose. So let's just remind ourselves we want our big toe mounds, our little toe mounds, and both sides of your heels energetically reaching into the mat. Now you want your big toes touching and just a little bit of space between the heels. And then drawing the energy up through your calves, through your thighs, feeling the tailbone drawing down, not under, but down, feeling that core engaged, shoulder blades gliding down and around, and palms facing forward. And just feel the engagement in this pose. You know, it's a standing pose, it's a simple pose, but there's a lot going on in Tadasana, mountain pose. All right, from your Tadasana, let's lift our arms overhead, palms touch, and then down, folding down. And then let's step back into our gate pose. So our modified gate pose. I'm going to grab a block here because I'm going to show you something here in just a moment. So this is our gate pose variation. And so you've got basically 90 degree and 90 degree here. If you need padding under your knee, go ahead and do that. If this is too much, you can always just take it as a seated pose. Find what works for you. If you need something to hold on to, that's perfect too. If you need a wall, that'll give you balance. Maybe widen your stance if you need to. And just lifting the arms overhead, seeing if you can find that balance. And then from here, we're going to go into our half Hanumanasana, half splits pose. So you might want a block or two blocks to hold you here to give you a little bit of leverage, or your hands can face the mat. But you can always use this block, maybe even at a high level, to give you some support, or 2 blocks under your hands. Hopefully you can see that. And then fold forward into your Hanumanasana pose, half Hanumanasana. And you're really going to feel the stretch along the sides and back of your hamstrings. So this is with your left leg forward. And then we're going to come into our runner's lunge. So just stepping forward, tucking that right toe under, and feeling that beautiful stretch across the front of the right thigh. And we'll just stay here for a moment in our runner's lunge. Just taking a few breaths, thinking about your intention and what you set for today. Giving yourself grace, giving yourself peace. All right, let's step back into our down dog. Knees bent or not bent, whatever is best for you. And then we're going to step forward with the right leg. So right foot forward and left knee down. So now again, we're in this gate pose, widening your stance as you need to, using the wall as you need to, bringing your arms up overhead, feeling that engagement, bringing your hands to heart center. And now we'll take that half Hanumanasana with a half splits pose, with or without your blocks. And let's bend forward over the right leg. And just feeling that engagement through the back of your hamstring. You really will feel this as an opening. Again, if it hurts, if you're feeling any kind of numbness or shooting pain, electrical pain, back off and, check in with your doctor. But for most people, this is a wonderful opening across the hamstring. All right, and then let's go into our runner's lunge pose, lifting up through the knee and on the ball of the left foot. Now here, think about this hip drawing around. So we don't want the knee to pop out here. We want the knee to be over the first 2 toes, but we want some engagement here. That's going to help your hip and help strengthen your hip and make this pose more effective for you. All right, and then we're going to just come back into our down dog. And let's just enjoy this for a moment. Or if you're ready for a child's pose, come onto your knees and take a child's pose. Even though child's pose is a resting pose, you're going to feel some opening along the back of your hamstrings. So just give yourself a few breaths here in child's pose. From child's pose, just allow your belly to drop to the floor and sink forward into a Sphinx pose. So with our Sphinx pose, we've got our elbows on the ground. We're moving our sternum through the gates of our arms. So feeling lengthening all the way up from your belly button to the top of your sternum. Your head is in line with your spine. You're looking gently forward. And your shoulders are not hiked by the ears. They're gliding down and around. This is a wonderful opening pose. When Sphinx, come down to a crocodile pose with your head on your hands. And then we're going to take a one-legged locust pose, Shalabhasana. So instead of doing 2 legs at a time, we're going to do 1. So we'll lift up through the right arm and the left leg. So the important thing here is not the arch in the back or how high you get the arm and the leg. It's the lengthening. So again, as we felt in our earlier poses, feel the lengthening forward and back. Feel that forward and back. So forward through the right arm, back through the left leg. Feel the lines of energy reaching. Just gently looking a few inches in front of you on your mat, or even closing down your eyes. Bringing your right arm down, and then let's try the other side. So lifting up through the left arm and the right leg, feeling that lengthening. It doesn't matter how high you get, you're feeling that lengthened and energy releasing and feeling that beautiful stretch. Wonderful. And we'll just take our head to our mat, and then let's come up through a child's pose for a breath. Hold that for a moment, and let's come up into our downward facing dog. From down dog, we're going to do a couple of nice little twisting poses, and then taking this right arm and grabbing somewhere on the outside of your left leg and giving yourself a nice little twist. Doesn't matter how deep you go. Try to feel your pelvis staying in line with your shoulders and feeling your core engaging here. Setting that right hand down, and then let's try it on the left side. Looking under the right arm, feeling that good stretch, trying to bring the hips back in line. It's easy for them to poke out. Let's try to bring them back in line. Wonderful. And then let's step forward with our right leg, dropping our left knee down, arms lifting overhead, and let's just take a twist here. So move my microphone, we'll hook our left forearm over the right thigh, bringing the hands to heart center. If you need to make a little fist with the left hand, that can give you a little more leverage. Really engage your core here, and that's going to help to strengthen your back and lengthen your back and give you a deeper twist. Great. Let's step back into our tabletop pose, and then let's do the same thing on the left side. So in your low lunge here, knees on the mat, arms lifting overhead, feeling that wonderful stretch here on your psoas, hands to heart center, and then twisting to the left, again, making that fist and glove if that works for you, engaging your core and getting that deep twist. Wonderful. Hands back to the mat. Let's step back into our down dog just for a few breaths. And then from here, we're just going to walk forward to the front of our mat. Feet are a little wider than hip distance, and you're going to drop down into a yogi squat. Now, this may be too much for you, and we'll grab our trusty block, and you can either sit on the block, which is great. You could sit on 2 blocks. That gives you a lot more spinal alignment if you need it, and take some of the pressure off. Otherwise, hands to heart center, and just taking that good opening in the hips. You can use your forearm or your upper arms to push your thighs apart. And let's just close down our eyes here, and we'll just take a few breaths. If you feel this in your knees, go ahead and take a block to sit on. This is a challenging pose. When you've had enough of that, come down onto your seat, and we'll go ahead and take a little boat pose. So this is not going to be a complicated or terribly difficult boat pose, but we will challenge our core just a little bit. So for boat pose, keep your feet on the mat, or you can always lift your feet up if you like, lengthening your spine. I'll do it with you with my feet on the mat. The important thing here is keep that spine long, keep the belly engaged, hands facing forward, and then grasping your hands except for your index fingers. This is Kali Mudra. And actually, Kali Mudra, you should have the left thumb over. This is a powerful warrior pose with your hands, powerful yoga mudra. And then let's go to the right, center, left, center. So right, go forward, center, back, left, go forward, center, back. And we're going to do that 3 more times. Center, left. We have 2 more. Center. Feel that core engage. And 1 more, right, center, left, and center. Good. Roll on your back and give yourself a little hug, thanking yourself for taking a little extra time for your core. From here, this is a good point to take a happy baby. So your knees outside of your armpits and pulling on the outsides of your feet, just giving yourself a gentle little stretch. Maybe rocking from side to side, maybe straightening out one leg and then the other. And then bring your knees back into your chest. Give yourself a hug. And we'll take a bridge pose. So I'm going to grab the block and just show you what you can do with the block. So we're going to just gradually, slowly, vertebra by vertebra, lift up. Now, before you start, though, take your middle finger and feel the back of your heel, and that's your measure. And then slowly lift up, starting at your tailbone, and then vertebra by vertebra by vertebra. And then if you're ready for a more restorative pose, just put your block under your sacrum, and you'll feel that beautiful opening, but without the effort across your back. You will feel the back opening up, and you may feel some opening along the hamstrings. If you want to do the bridge pose without the block, you can snuggle your arms underneath and just feel that opening, lengthening, and stretching through your back, through the front of your thighs, opening the front of your chest. So this is a powerful pose that gets to so many of our muscle groups, whether you do it actively or with the block. You're going to do yourself so much good. And then slowly rolling back down. And now it's time for a twist. So we'll lengthen out through the left leg, bringing the right knee into your chest, flipping the right foot under the left thigh, and then rolling over. The right arm goes to the outside of your right shoulder, and then keeping your shoulders on the mat, the knee can go as far as it's able. You can give it a little tug, but don't overstress. And then shut down your eyes. Let's roll onto our backs, come back to center, maybe bringing the knees into your chest just to release the back a bit, and then straighten out through the right leg, hooking the left foot under your thigh and rolling over. You may feel this along the front of your thigh, keeping the shoulders on the mat. The knee will go as far as it's able, eyes shutting down. Coming back to center, giving yourself another little hug. And then let's do what we call Supta Baddha Konasana. So we're on our backs, our feet are touching, so the soles of the feet are touching, the knees fall apart, hands face upward, and we'll just let our inner thighs release. You may also feel this through the back of the glutes and the outer hips. Maybe returning to your intention, reminding yourself why you're here, and giving yourself some love that you so well deserve. If you're ready, planting the soles of your feet on the ground, maybe windshield washing your knees back and forth, just to loosen up any last minute little stiffness. Straighten out through your legs. Before we reach Shavasana, let's give ourselves a good stretch, just stretching forward, stretching back, remembering that intention that we had of energy going out through the fingers, through the toes, feeling that lengthening, feeling the core engaged, and then just letting go. Maybe letting your feet flop out to the sides of your mat, hands facing up, and just letting go of everything, not thinking, not trying. This is just your time to relax and give yourself just a few minutes now of peace and relaxation and letting go. Shavasana is yours for as long as you need it. So if you need a few more minutes, take as much time as you need. If you're ready to move on to the rest of your day, just give your fingers and toes a little wiggle, slowly waking up, maybe taking circles with your hands and your feet, giving yourself a few more moments to just enjoy the work and effort that you have put into your practice. And then rolling onto your right or left side and taking a quiet fetal pose. Keeping the eyes closed. Slowly bringing yourself up to a seated position. Hands to heart center. Bowing to yourself. And giving yourself so much gratitude for taking this time for your practice, taking this time to take care of yourself, because you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again.